Welcome to AU Nation. I'm your host, Evan Blank, here to bring you the latest opinions from your Auburn Student Media Group. Joining me today first is Noah Gardner. He hosts GH Sports on Weagle 91.1 FM and also calls Auburn softball games for that station as well. Noah, how are you today?
Doing great, Evan. How are you?
Not too bad, can't complain. Next up is Brooks Childress. He also calls Auburn softball games for WEGL Radio. First time appearance for Mr. Brooks Childress. Welcome to the show, Brooks. How are you today?
I'm doing amazing, Evan.
Hey, we love having you on. First timer. And finally is Michael Larson, returning yet again for more. He is also a WEGL 91.1 FM. He's a hockey analyst and a member of the Auburn lacrosse team. Micah, how are you today?
Doing well, Evan. I'm not sure how well I am, though, by seeing you 2 times in a week.
Well, believe me, it's a little much for me, too. All right, but we move in, and our first topic within Auburn athletics, and it's a year in review. Analysts, the school year is coming to a close, and with that being said, what was your favorite Auburn athletic memory of this academic year? Michael, we'll start with you.
We were conversing before, and I think we all came to the conclusion that the Kentucky basketball game really salvaged this basketball season and was a memento of what could have been. And so for me, I'd have to say that was my brightest moment in Auburn sports this academic year.
And I agree with you. It was phenomenal. It has really shined a positive light on this basketball program. And like you said, it salvaged the year for the squad because it looks like they're taking steps in the right direction. But for me personally, because I was actually a part of this moment, I called the Auburn softball game alongside our host, Evan Blank, when Casey Cooper walked off against Georgia just a few nights ago, which was really a spectacular moment to have seen an Auburn team in a walk-off. Never seen that before, and to be on the call really made that special. Also, it really showed me that this squad has potential to do something at the end of the year, which I use this series as a measuring stick for them.
Both of those are really great. My personal favorite was my first Auburn sporting event that I attended as a student here, which was Auburn beating Alabama immediately after beating Kentucky. It was so great. The energy in the arena was amazing, and that's one of the moments I'll never forget from this year at Auburn.
My favorite Auburn's moment of the year was also an Auburn and Alabama event in Auburn Arena, but none of you gave it to me. Auburn gymnastics beating Alabama for the first time in, 37 years?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was crazy. But yeah, the Kentucky game was great. That walk-off the other night was great too, Noah. And obviously, Brooks, we always love beating Alabama in any sport we can. But hey, nice quick one there. That's it for Auburn athletics. We're going to move over to the national sports scene next on AU Nation. You're watching Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6. Hey, we are back on AU Nation, and moving on now to the national sports scene. And we begin with the NBA playoffs. The Cavaliers, Spurs, and Thunder have all advanced now to the second round of the NBA playoffs. Which of the first round series remaining are you looking forward to watching to conclude the most? Brooks, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm looking for a team that I watched last night, the Heat and the Hornets. Great series so far. Heat took the first 2, but the Hornets came back and won the next 2. I think it's going to be a dogfight from here on out in this one. Hornets and Heat, I'm going to say the Heat are going to take this series behind D. Wade.
And another 2-2 series to talk about here is the Atlanta Hawks and the Boston Celtics. Atlanta getting up 2-0 early and then dropping it to the Celtics when they went to Boston. So both of these series very similar in that aspect. But I'm interested in watching the Hawks and Celtics to see how the Hawks rebound heading back to Atlanta. They started out the series phenomenally. They were moving the ball around really well, and they were also playing great defense. But then when they went to Boston, that all changed. It'll be interesting to see how the Atlanta Hawks are able to rebound and make some things happen against the Boston Celtics.
I was going to say either one of those two based off what you guys were going to say, so I'm just going to say what they said.
All right.
That's in depth right there, right?
Well, clearly been watching the NBA playoffs, haven't you, Mike?
I've been watching a little bit here and there.
We'll see how you fare with this next question as we stick with round ball. Oh, that sounded terrible, round ball. All right, but in last year's NBA playoffs, the Cleveland Cavaliers were the runners-up, but they were without Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. Injuries always seem to rattle teams in the postseason, and that is the case this year as well. Reigning league MVP Steph Curry suffered a grade 1 MCL sprain in Game 4 against Houston the other night and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Clippers all-star point guard Chris Paul broke his right hand in Game 4 against Portland, and Blake Griffin injured his quad and will also be out for the remainder of the playoffs. How do these injuries affect both of these teams, Noah?
Well, let's talk about the Clippers first because this looks a whole lot more bleak for that squad. I actually question whether or not they'll be able to take the Trailblazers now because I believe the Trailblazers have enough offensive firepower now to outscore this team that has lost Blake Griffin and Chris Paul. It's really looking bleak for them. For the Warriors, on the other hand, I believe that they are going to be able to still make the Western Conference Finals where they ultimately will play the Spurs or the Thunder. Now, that series will be the true test for them and whether or not Curry is able to come back into that series and make some things happen, or whether or not he'll be able to come back at all because of the severity of his injury and whether they'll want to use him at that point, which I'm sure they will. But overall, I think the Warriors will be fine short term. It'll just depend on what happens when they get into the finals and who they're playing against.
I agree. I think from this point out, Portland is going to take this series from the Clippers, and if Golden State does not get Steph Curry back, they'll win this series against Houston because it's almost impossible to battle back from 3-1 in any sort of playoffs. But the Warriors are going to have a hard time down the road if they don't have Steph Curry.
Yeah, and that's a Houston team that's, in shambles right now. No one really seems. You saw the video of James Harden hit that game winner the other night, and Corey Brewer's like, I think I'll clap. I'm not sure. Dwight Howard doesn't even move his hands. So I think, like you're saying, Golden State, they're fine without Steph. I think everyone will be fine. When it comes to the Clippers, it's time for DeAndre Jordan to earn that money now. It's time for him to earn that money. So we'll see what happens, but definitely Clippers are in a worse situation than Golden State.
Yeah, they certainly seem to be. Clippers are always a mess. When you lose 2 stars, it's just a total mess. But now we shift gears. We move from one playoff going on to a much better one, and it's on the ice. The NHL and the Nashville Predators and the Anaheim Ducks will play a Game 7 in the first round, and the winner will take on the Sharks in the second. Also in the Western Conference, Stars face the Blues in the second round, and in the Eastern Conference, President's Trophy winner and future chokers, the Washington Capitals, will play the Penguins, and the Islanders and Lightning will square off in the other Eastern Conference matchup. Which of these second-round matchups will be most compelling to you, Micah, our hockey expert?
Yes. When you think about what makes a series great, often it's the clashing of 2 superstars. Last year, everyone loved the finals because it was a rising star in Steph Curry versus LeBron James. Not very often in hockey do you get an opportunity for your 2 top players who have been rivals to meet up and really prove something and be on a hot streak going into it. That's what you have, Capitals versus Penguins. You have Alex Ovechkin, Mr. Score, 50-plus goals this year versus Sid the Kid Crosby looking to raise his second cup and Ovechkin looking for his first. Capitals look amazing, but no one's won the President's Cup and the Stanley Cup in the same year since the New York Rangers did it with Mark Messier. So it's very hard to do, and we'll see what happens. But to me, that's the series to watch.
Wow, this guy knows his stuff. I got to agree with you. That does seem like the most highlighted and interesting series here heading into the second round because of all the star power going around it. But something I'm going to go with is on the more local level between the Lightning and the Islanders. Just a local team there really interests me, and both of those squads very good. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out.
I agree. The best matchup so far in the playoffs is going to be the Penguins and the Capitals. As a casual hockey fan, I've given my playoff allegiance to Washington, so I hope they don't choke. But the better matchup I'm going to look forward to watching is the Islanders and the Rays, or not the Rays, the Lightning,
there you
like
go.
you said, because the Islanders have not been in the second round since '93. So their fan base in Brooklyn is going to be electric. They're going to turn out for the games, and it's just going to be some fun good old-fashioned hockey.
Steven Stamkos did skate today for the first time since his injury. So if they get him back, watch out for the Lightning going in.
Oh, watch out for the Lightning, indeed. I'll tell you what, I don't think any of you mentioned it, but I'm actually kind of excited about that Blues Stars series in the second round. I mean, the Blues win a playoff series for the first time since what, like 99? Is that right, Micah? Something like that? 90s for sure, probably.
Yeah, it's
been a
definitely
long
the 90s. I can't remember what exactly
Yeah.
it
And
was.
then the Stars were basically the NHL equivalent of the Warriors for a while. And I think they're just a really solid team that not a lot of people talking about. Hockey playoffs should be fun. They always are. But that will do it for our national sports block. You are watching AU Nation on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Hey, welcome back. It's AU Nation, and it's trivia time. We play it in a game we call Point Blank. Each of our analysts will receive 5 questions, and the analyst with the most correct answers will win. Mr. Larson, we will begin with you. Are you ready, sir?
Ready as I'll ever be.
We'll see. Who was the first NHL playoff team this year to advance into the second round?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Which team traded up to get the number 2 pick in Thursday's 2016 NFL Draft?
Philadelphia Eagles. And Sam Bradford wants to be traded.
He does. On to golf now.
Oh boy.
Which northeastern state will be hosting the 2016 U.S. Open in June?
Pennsylvania.
Which team eliminated the reigning Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks in the first round?
Oh, St. Louis Blues. Barely, though. Almost missed that empty netter there.
They certainly
Pretty
did.
scary.
And in the first round of the NBA playoffs, the Cleveland Cavaliers swept what team?
Oh boy. The Detroit Pistons.
Mr. Larson, you were 5 for 5, my friend. For those of you wondering about the golf question, because it tripped up Micah there for a second, Pennsylvania is the state. Oakmont Country Club is the beautiful course it'll be played on. All right, gentlemen, you got to step it up. Noah, you are next. You got to go 5 for 5 to keep it going.
Sounds like a challenge.
Ready? All right. Number 1, C.J. McCollum won the NBA's Most Improved Player this year. What team does he play for?
Portland Trailblazers.
Which school had over 100,000 fans in attendance for their spring game a few weeks ago?
Ohio State.
This National League slugger currently leads the MLB with 9 homers. Who is he?
Trevor Story.
Which MMA star tweeted he was retiring this past week?
Conor McGregor, but he has since came out of that retirement.
He has. Maybe our
It was a
fact
good
checker
24-hour
would know
retirement.
that. And finally, Noah, question number 5. Which 2 MLB teams started the season with an illustrious 0-9 record?
The Atlanta Braves and the Minnesota Twins.
Noah, you got that one with the terrible teams, but you went 4 of 5. It is not Trevor Story
It is.
leading. It is.
Oh, no, I can't say his name.
It is
Bryce.
Sir
Oh,
Bryce
yeah.
Harper
Ooh.
of the Washington Nationals.
He who shall not be named.
Yeah.
Brooks,
Yes,
you got to go 5 of 5 to unseat Micah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I hope you are. Which Clippers guard won NBA 6th Man of the Year for the 3rd time in his career?
Oh, goodness. Chris Paul.
This past week, Jake Arrieta threw a no-hitter against the Cincinnati Reds. How many runs did the Cubs score to support him in this game?
16.
Which NBA team won a playoff game this past weekend for the first time in 14 years?
Well, that would have to be. It's not Boston, because
Think
Boston's
of just
won.
a terrible team. An awful team.
It is our producer's favorite team, the Charlotte Hornets.
3 teams in Major League Baseball have a league-leading 14 wins. 2 of the teams are in the National League, Cubs and the Nationals. Which American League team is tied with them for the most wins so far this season?
That would have to be the Texas Rangers.
It was announced that ESPN play-by-play man Mike Tirico would be leaving the station after 25 years. Where is Mike Tirico going to work now?
He's going to work for up-and-coming NBC Sports.
NBC is correct. But Brooks, you failed me. You went 3 of 5. Chris Paul, I'm pretty sure, will never be eligible for NBA Sixth Man of the Year. So I don't know what that was about. It was Jamal Crawford.
Well, you see my NBA knowledge.
And the Chicago White Sox have 14 wins, not the Texas Rangers. So, congratulations to Sir Michael Larson on winning Point Blank Trivia today. Now we are going to head to a commercial break. We'll close out the show with the burning question next on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6.
This is a place where it only takes a second to imagine your future. Grasp a new concept in class. Inspire a child's curiosity. Discover a real-world solution. Seize an unexpected opportunity.
There goes Davis!
This is where you gain the preparation, confidence, and determination to succeed. This is Auburn.
Welcome back to AU Nation, and it is now time for the final burning question of the year. On Monday, New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady had his 4-game suspension for Deflategate reinstated by the U.S. Court of Appeals. What do you think of the decision made, and when September 11th rolls around, will Tom Brady be playing? Noah, we will start with you after Brooks puts down that ridiculous sign.
Well, as an anti-Patriots fan, this has been a pretty entertaining story to follow. But at the same time, I think they're getting it wrong with everything we know about the case now and everything we know about elementary science. As it gets cooler, obviously air pressure goes down and deflates. So I don't see how a government entity is stepping in and making a decision on this, and also think they probably have more important things to do than worry about whether Tom Brady's playing in the first 4 games of the regular season. But at the same time, I really don't know if he's going to play these first 4 games because it's gone this far now. It's still dragging on out, and I don't know if we don't know if Tom Brady's going to try and fight this any further. It's all up in the air at the moment, and I think at this point he should just tap out and probably take the suspension by now because it's been proven that the NFL is not going to give up. But once again, I just think those papers are absurd.
They are definitely not absurd. And like you said, since I've passed, elementary science, I think we all know why the balls were deflated. But it is just, I think it's absurd that this has been dragged on for almost going, a few months away from 2 years. And that if Tom Brady does decide to fight this, he doesn't need to go, like people are saying, to the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court is definitely not going to hear this. And whatever happens, if Brady decides to fight it, at this point, I don't think it's going to get overturned. So the Patriots need to look to their backup, Jimmy Garoppolo, who I think is a very capable quarterback to take over in his place.
Yeah, to me, it's Goodell again, just trying to find some way to enforce, his hand and everything. And it's also like we just wanted something to talk about all summer. It's like, well, football's done, but we can talk about this thing that happened 2 years ago now. And they got to bury the hatchet. I'm very interested to see what happens when Goodell gets up to the podium for the Patriots draft pick to hear just being absolutely rained down upon in boos. So that'll be fun.
Well,
It'll be interesting.
I think he's already pretty much too far into this whole situation, and that's why he has continued on with it. He didn't want to be looked like a fool or a mockery made out of him, which is basically what the Patriots were able to do when they got Brady's suspension lifted. And then with him doing this, to all NFL fans out there, whether they like the Patriots or not, it's kind of showing that he's digging himself into his grave even more because this situation shouldn't be drawn out like this, and it's really for something so minute and not even that big of a deal. It's now turning out to be blown up into something that shouldn't even be, and he's messed up on so many other discipline situations that he's really cracking down on this one just doesn't make any sense, and it's just he's further digging himself into his grave.
Bold prediction, your boy Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play well. They're going to trade him to Cleveland. Cleveland's going to give him a bunch of draft picks, and it's going to fall apart. But they're going to get draft picks from Cleveland.
Hey, there is a similarity, though, between the Tom Brady story and Jimmy Garoppolo, except Bledsoe was injured, and then Brady got his chance in those playoffs. Well, this is Jimmy's chance to show the NFL that, hey, I can play. And Garoppolo's definitely going to try and make himself a name. He's got the players around him to do that. And, hey, if he does play good, I could easily see an NFL team wanting to trade the Patriots for Garoppolo. And that actually could end up benefiting the Patriots to get something out of somebody who's going to ride bench all the way till Brady's retirement.
But question for you guys, and I know I'm taking your job here, Evan, but do you still take a chance on a Patriots backup after you've seen what's happened to Matt Castle since he's left New England and won 11 games and went to or 10 games and went to the playoffs? Ryan Mallett, these sorts of players, do you still?
As we've seen throughout the NFL and mainly just the Browns, you have to have players around that quarterback to succeed. If you throw that quarterback into a situation where he's got nothing there, I mean, I always compare franchises to cars. Cars have seatbelts and airbags. Let's say you have a child. Do you want to put a child in a car without seatbelts and airbags? These NFL teams that don't have good offensive lines or good receivers or even good defenses, you're basically throwing in your prized possession, your quarterback, into a car with no airbags. And any Patriots quarterback, no matter how good they could be, no matter how good Garoppolo does with the Patriots, he could come crashing down if he were to go to a team like the Browns that doesn't have much supporting pieces. It's all about the team. It's not just one player that's going to carry you, and you definitely need somebody around him to succeed.
Well, first of all, I don't think the Patriots would be willing to trade Garoppolo because he's the only other quarterback on our roster. So I think the Patriots have to, in the draft, have to go a quarterback in the late round just to get another guy on the depth chart in case something does happen to Garoppolo and Brady doesn't get his suspension overturned. But if they were to trade Garoppolo, I think that from what I've seen, he hasn't played extensive time in the regular season. So I think teams would have to wait, unless they were just desperate for a quarterback, would have to wait and see him in a regular season game action to see if he would be a formidable quarterback.
Hey, interesting thought. Garoppolo does good. Bradford's still looking for a trade. Garoppolo for Bradford.
Oh, gosh.
I don't agree.
I wouldn't
do it.
there.
I don't agree. I wouldn't do it if I were them.
GMs make boneheaded decisions.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
could happen.
Jimmy, huh? You on a first name basis with Jimmy Garoppolo, Noah?
I'm just going for him, so I'm gonna call him
personal
Jimmy.
friends with him?
I'm going for him, so I'm calling him Jimmy. It seems the right thing. I mean, am I gonna start a Garoppolo chant or am I gonna start a Jimmy? I think Jimmy's got a better.
It's a very
ring to
valid
it.
point.
I hope you don't
Make it
start any
trend.
chant because you'd be cheering for a bunch of dirty
Free
cheaters.
Brady.
But that's not my place to
Hashtag Free
decide.
Brady.
Analysts, thank you for joining us today. Brooks, I'll thank you when you put those ridiculous signs down.
They're not going down.
All right, fine. Then we'll skip you. Brooks, in all seriousness, on your maiden voyage, thank you for coming to the show.
It's been an
Because
honor.
you've been on, we're not going to have a show till September now.
That's what I expected.
Noah, thanks for coming on as always. We love having you on with your opinions.
It's been fun, man.
And Micah, you've come on a lot these past couple weeks.
Twice.
Well, all 2 times in the last couple weeks that I remember doing this. But you were on the first show on the maiden voyage, so we love having you on.
What's the saying? It's been real. It's been fun.
It hasn't been real fun. Trust me. But that's going to be it for AU Nation. Make sure you go to eagleeyetv.com for more AU Nation. I'm Evan Blank. Have a great summer, Auburn, and we will see you again in the fall.